Just doing a little chimney sweeping. A little chimney sweeping. There's a chimney here. There is. And I had to do it because A, it's the holiday season and it seems like a time to sweep chimneys. I think that's how that works. And B, we sweep again. We just stay sweeping. It's a new profession. All right, the broom's down. Let's turn on the music. Let's get into this thing. Here we go. Oh, it feels good. If you watched on Thursday, the Thursday show had a full UFC breakdown. We did very well there. Didn't win every single bet, but did very well. And the big ones really hit, so that's what's important. Friday, not only did we have Football Friday, which crushed, absolutely crushed, didn't miss a single one, but we had a Friday round robin, 4-team Friday NBA round robin broken into 2s, 3s, and 4s. Go back to the Friday show. You got to check it out. Bucks at Rockets hits. Laker at Thunder hits. Cavs at Wolves hits. Suns versus Celtics, it hits. Got a quick one in Sunday, too, by the way. If you check the @MikeMush Sports Twitter feed, I throw some picks on there, impromptu. You got to check that out. Last-minute additions, changes to picks, general sports watching nonsense, whatever it is. Bucks -6 against the Knicks. Absolutely free. And then I had the Lakers against the Magic to close out the week. Woo! We're hot. Oh, boy. Where do we even begin? Also, Saturday, MLS Cup Final. I'm in this ultimate fantasy league. We're going to get to football. We're going to brag. We're going to do all the things. Yeah. I am rocking the Beatles sweatshirt today in honor of the Link podcast. You're right. The chat knows. The chat understands. The Link podcast, @TheLink_podcast, is my audio-only podcast that's not sports. And the Beatles Get Back documentary, which I was whistling while I chimney swept. I know how to plug. Don't worry about it. Came out today. I did an episode with my dad reviewing the Get Back documentary that's on Disney Plus about the Beatles. Awesome. Definitely check it out. But yeah, Saturday, the MLS Cup Final, NYCFC and the Portland Timbers. So I'm in this ultimate fantasy league where you draft teams instead of players, and you get one team in every sport. And then if you're in the Final Four, the further you get, the more points you get, which is really fun. It's one of my most favorite fantasy leagues. And this game was super exciting. Game-tying goal in the 95th minute, stoppage time, the last stages of stoppage time, the last push. One clearance wins the cup for NYCFC. The Timbers equalize. It's intense. It's pouring rain. No score in the extra time, and then we go to penalties, and I feel a certain way about penalties. They're exciting, but they don't really tell you who should have won the game, and I don't think it should happen in big moments. I think it should be golden goal, because it feels so anticlimactic. It's like a hockey shootout, but they only do that in the regular season, right? They let the overtimes go in the playoffs. It's like having a home run derby to decide a World Series game. It just feels weird. So NYCFC wins, and I had the Portland Timbers, but they were like a 13th round draft pick. They weren't even good at the time, and they go all the way to the finals. They get big points. It's very exciting stuff. And the MLS may be dying for star power, but a big soccer match still has big vibes regardless. So I guess now I know how the smaller leagues in Europe and stuff exist in all other countries. Let's talk quickly about UFC 269, and then we'll break down all the football games. This was an amazing UFC card. I urge you to go back and listen to how on point I was in some ways and how off point I was for a couple other ones. But the main card, the undercard, I struggled with, and I'm thinking about making some changes there. I might need to take some fewer undercard lines. It's tempting because with less knowledge of the fighters, the lines are more easily beaten, I think. But of course, the fights are also less predictable. So it's a tough trade-off. I'm thinking I should go with more known quantities because I've been killing the main cards. Solid card either way, though. We had a super early card parlay, Randy Costa and Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall gets a win. He should have finished. Credit to Minner, who he fought for surviving on the ground with Ryan Hall, though. And then Randy Costa I had, but he got destroyed. What are you going to do? Kelly refused to let his hands off of Costa. He smothered him, never gave him any space. Great game plan. Pure aggression can just stop another offensive fighter from getting into his own game. So it was an ugly showing for a kid with promise. So we lost that one on the super undercard. And then we had a long odds parlay, which almost hit. It was so close. And in the moment, I actually put in another one. And we did hit that. But we had Tai Tuivasa. He hits shoeies for everyone. He's chugging beers out of shoes after he gets another insane knockout. Looking forward to what he does. Sean O'Malley still makes it look easy. It was a test, but next I want to test where the odds are almost even. That would be wild. Maybe like a pay-per-view co-main event or something. Move up the ranks a little bit. But he just keeps passing with flying Karos. And then I had Kai Kara France as an underdog. Fading Cody Garbrandt has printed money for years. He has no chin. He goes down in weight. And then questioning Kai Kara France's power, people were doing insane. Actually insane. That kid can bang. He's good. But Miranda Maverick, we didn't get that one. Blanchfield's grappling is just a level ahead. She was really good. Maverick, I think, overthrew some of the counters trying to get back into it and get a heavy shot on her, and it cost her because she ended up getting taken down when she was off balance. Maverick's striking was 10 times better, so I was right about that, but she couldn't keep Blanchfield away at all. She needs a jab. She needs some takedown defense, but they're both young. She should have had a huge advantage on the feet. At the start of round 3, we saw it. She was piecing her up, and it only lasted a little bit before she got taken down again. So that was plus 765, the odds, and we hit 3 out of 4. If it was a round robin, we would have profited, but we didn't do that. And in the moment, when Maverick lost, she was the first leg. So I did Tuivasa, O'Malley, Kai Kara France, and then over 1.5 in the main event, which did hit. So that was a long odds parlay that hit. Check the Twitter, again, at MikeTheMush Sports. You want up-to-the-moment stuff while I'm not live. Definitely, that's the place to get it. But the big parlay, the one we really wanted, and I said to put more on this one than all the other ones. Sean O'Malley to win. We got that. And over 1.5 in the Oliveira-Poirier fight. That fight was really good. Really good. It looked like it could end in the first for sure. Dustin was hitting him with major shots. And Charles is able to eat them now. I don't know if he was able to do that before. And when he gets his hands on you, it's a nightmare. He had Poirier smothered for a while on the ground, and Poirier just kind of sat in the guard because he knew that if he tried to power up, he might give up position, give up his back, and get choked out. He said it was part of his game plan. I mean, it's questionable. Who knows what you're going to do? But he did survive on the ground against Oliveira for a whole round, so what are you going to do? But it did seem like it gassed him out a little more than it should have. And but Oliveira's a beast. And he ends up getting Poirier's back anyway for a standing rear naked, which was nasty. That was a great fight. I think, like we said, Poirier, I liked Oliveira as a slight dog. I didn't take it. But Poirier had just fought 3 major fights this year, and Oliveira only had 2. He looked a little fresher. I don't know. There's no excuses. Poirier hit him with some big shots that just didn't put him down. So either way, we hit that over 1.5 rounds. I said it should have been over 2.5, and it probably should have been. You could adjust the odds all you want, but the big parlay, we get plus odds. We hit that one. And then Amanda Nunes loses, and I feel validated, ultra validated. Because I said you don't take a minus 1,000 in the UFC. The sport is just too crazy. It's too, like, anything can happen. I don't know why you would do that. Even to throw the money line into parlays, it's not worth the extra money that you're getting. Minus 1,000. What are we talking about? She should have won. She didn't look very good. I kind of think maybe COVID got to her a little bit. We've seen that with athletes where it takes them a couple weeks to get back and their gas tank isn't great. Her gas tank wasn't great. She just stood and banged with her chin straight up in the air and got hit a bunch. Ends up going down, gets her back taken and chokes out. But that is kind of how she's always fought. I mean, she fought Chris Cyborg like that and beat her at her own game. You know, I'm going to stand and throw with you and beat you up. And she just got beat up this time. Maybe the weight cut wasn't good. I don't know if she goes back for a rematch because she could just go up in weight and hold that belt. We'll see. But yeah, in any case, the minus 1,000, it's like, whether it's a Buster Douglas or moment or not, it happens. And they do lose sometimes, and you're cage fighting. Anything can go down in there. So, thankfully, I stayed away from that one, and it ended up a pretty good card for us. So, no complaints there. So, we're killing the weekend already. And then we get to the good stuff. Football Sunday. Let's get into it, huh? Let's pull up some box scores. We'll go over the picks. We crushed. Absolutely crushed. Here we go. Now, first of all, here were the picks if you don't remember. And we'll go through all the games. The easy peasy lemon lime cash parlay. Of course, you can't forget it. Seahawks money line, Broncos money line, Chargers money line. They all hit. Easy peasy. Speaking of easy peasy, the easy peasy Mush's cheesy parlay. I knew I would be because I knew this one would hit. I double dip on the Seahawks. I get the Chiefs money line. They win in a blowout. Packers win on Sunday night. We get that one too. And then the let's get weird at home 10-team teaser. All home teams. Browns plus 7.5. They found a way to blow the -3, but we had money line. We'll get there. Chargers money line versus the Giants. They win. Bengals plus 11.5. Looked a little dicey, but they come through. Packers -2.5 against the Bears. We hit that. The straight up picks. Falcons plus 3 at the Panthers. I didn't have the guts to go money line. I should have. They win the game. Win that one. Browns money line against the Ravens. They tried really hard to blow this one. I was scared, but confident. We hit that one. And the Bucks against the Bills. Bucks tried to blow it too. None of them did. They all had my back. 6 for 6. Woo! Big day. Big day. I was perfect through 1 p.m. We would have swept every pick on the board for pool purposes. But I talked myself into Washington for some reason. I'll get to why I think that one went the wrong way, and they almost did it. But there was confidence going into the afternoon. Tacos were on the way, and things were looking up. I got a bye in both my fantasy leagues, so that feels good. Maybe Thursday will become fantasy day for the next 3 weeks, seeing how we're going into fantasy football playoffs. But it depends on the schedule. Schedule might change up a little bit, as I've been mentioning on the past couple of shows. So trying to tinker with it a little bit. Let's dive into the individual games. Break those all down because we still got to get to Monday. Great game tonight. Rams, Cardinals. Should be an interesting one. I do have a pick for you at the end of the stream, so stick around. And the first game I want to talk about is Buffalo-Tampa, which is here. It felt like it had the most stakes. Not always filet mignons, but Tampa felt completely in control through the first half. I was so confident. It's 24-3. I didn't even watch some of the third quarter. I had to go back to it because it got weird. And here's why. First of all, the Bills gave up a rushing touchdown right away, showing we knew what the Bucks. We knew the Bucks knew that what to do here. Run it down their throat, and they were able to for a lot of the game. Almost 5 yards a carry. Fournette had a good day. Brady had a few nice runs. With the TB12 stuff he does, is it possible this is the fastest he's ever been at this age? Talk about not stopping the run. So everything's going well for them. Josh Allen missed a touchdown throw in the second quarter. Maybe you go for it there. It was... where was it? I think it was here. Yeah. They kick a field goal. There's 4th and goal on the 3. I mean, it worked out for them because they ended up getting to overtime, but I don't really believe in trading field goals for touchdowns against Tom Brady. This game could have got away from them if the Bucs didn't take their foot off the gas offensively in the second half. Credit to the Bills D, too, but still, I thought they were going to go for this one. I was a little surprised. Gronk has a big game, 5 for 62, but big catches, important ones. And he's such a huge weapon that they don't even need to use him as much as they could. It's funny. I don't know if that will change in the playoffs. I think there's a chance that it does. There's a question of how long he wants to play. And is he willing to put it all on the line and get 15 targets in a playoff game? He'll wear down eventually doing that. But it doesn't need to be every week. And if he decides, I'm going to retire when Tom retires, then what's the difference? I don't know if you can stop him over the middle. And if you start peppering him with targets, like Godwin got 15 targets this week. If you do that to Gronk, everyone's open on the outside because you have to double cover him. You at least have to put a safety or a linebacker on him, plus a corner underneath probably, who's not big enough to do anything. And if he can survive doing that, he got 9 targets this week. I think that could even go up, which is ridiculous. So I would look towards that. But if he decides that he's still pretty young, right? I mean, he retired and came back, but he's not that old. He's 32. If he decides he wants to play 4 more years, maybe they don't do that. Or maybe they do. I don't know. But it's a weapon that they have that they haven't even really unleashed yet, as good as he's been. In the red zone, he's ridiculous. Brady made some really sharp throws early. One to Evans in the end zone. One to Evans on the sideline. He got the completion record in this one. I mean, who the heck is going to play long enough to challenge that? it's going to take something really special. But he did make some poor throws down the stretch, which we've seen constantly from him. He had a good game, 31 for 46. 2 touchdowns, didn't turn it over. Actually recovered a fumble and didn't even fumble it himself, which is ridiculous. If you can avoid those 2 to 3 bad throws he has per game, or not even avoid them, but just make sure they're incompletions and not interceptions that go the other way, they're going to be really hard to deal with. I hope Antonio Brown gets cut and doesn't come back, but Brady loves him for whatever reason, so I'm expecting another weapon to come back for them soon. When all 4 major targets plus Fournette are there, they feel truly unstoppable offensively. But they did get slowed down. First of all, the Bills didn't hand it off in the first quarter. They didn't hand it off in the first half. They barely handed it off at all. They had 7 handoffs to running backs, but 0 in the first half. That's wild. That's not the lesson you were supposed to learn from the Patriots game. It's like a reverse, we'll show you, Pats. You hand it off every time. We won't hand it off at all. It's like when Joey in Friends is wearing all of Chandler's clothes. That makes sense. Trust me, it makes sense. So, yeah, that was weird. They can't run it. They know they can't run it against Tampa. And most of the time I'd be like, well, you got to balance a little bit. But they did start to find some success when they just went like full spread, schoolyard kind of let Josh Allen run wherever he wants. He had 12 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown. When he started running more, it was a problem. I mean, he had 54 throws and 12 carries. This dude was responsible for 66 plays. I don't know if you can do that. Here's the problem. They need to do that to keep their offense going. Because they have some guys that are good. Diggs, Beasley, Knox is fine, but it's not going to match up with what the Bucs have or any of the top teams, really. It's just okay. They don't have good running backs, so they need Josh Allen to be a superstar. Now, the problem with that, I mean, the good side of that is you throw the game into chaos. Allen can really move, and he seems to be better when it's not all fundamental stuff. It's just very loose football. But if you give him 66 opportunities, he's going to end up making some bad plays. He only turned it over once in this. I thought it could have been worse, probably because Tampa's secondary, like I've been saying all year, is pretty terrible. So that helps them, but who do they have down the stretch? Panthers, Patriots again at the Pats. That won't fly against them, and then Falcons, Jets. So they'll win 3 of those 4, and they'll end up 10-7, which should be fine. I don't think they'll get the division, but they'll get a wild card. They're one of the few wild cards that's obvious. But if you play a good defense and Josh Allen has to do 50 different things, he's going to end up turning it over once or twice. It might kill you. So it might be their best option, but it also might lead to their demise, and that's why I think they're in a little bit of a pickle here. And we kind of saw it here too, right? Like, I didn't expect Josh Allen to drive down and tie it late. And he did. I'm getting used to shutting down the autoplay, folks. I really am. And, yeah, right here, I mean, 3 minutes left. I don't know. They only needed a field goal, but I definitely didn't expect this one to happen, the touchdown drive. I figured he would screw it up eventually. They started in a really good position because the Bucs defense offense fell apart for some reason. But yeah, he does mostly everything on this drive, gets them down there, finds Gabriel Davis, who powers his way into the end zone. That didn't even need to be a touchdown, if I recall. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. No. Oh, that was the huge 4th and 4 that he had. He had a couple big plays in this one. Yeah, and he gets stopped short of the line when they need the field goal. This is on the final drive, and he could have been tackled, and Murphy Bunting just can't handle him. He's been struggling. In any case, if Gabriel Davis is your wide receiver too, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, they do. They prove me wrong. They get down the field. This is what I've been concerned about with the Bucs. If they need a stop, I don't know if they can get it in a passing situation. Then they punt again. They do hold here, but they get a field goal. They tie it. They go to overtime. Bills start with it, and they just don't get anything. for some reason, they only ran it 7 times with running backs. 6 times in regulation. And then on first down in overtime, after you've been shredding them down the field, you turn and hand it off to Devin Singletary against one of the best run Ds in the league. What? Even if the coach says it, Josh Allen should be like, no, absolutely not. Insane. Then it's short pass to Beasley for 3 yards, and then he can't hit on third down because you're getting him in a forced passing situation. I don't know. I would have even liked some RPO kind of stuff on 3rd and 4 there, but easy to say. He just didn't make a good throw to Diggs, and it doesn't work out. They punt, and you know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, Brady's going to come down, and Rashad Perryman, of all people, gets free and runs forever. But they were already moving. I mean, it didn't really matter. It was 2nd and 17, and Gronk gets 14 yards, and you're like, all right, we're screwed here. So, moral of the story, I mean, once it went to overtime, I actually still wasn't that worried because the only thing that could have killed you was the Bills just going down scoring a touchdown, obviously, because they win the toss. But if we're talking about late game situation, I just trust Brady over Josh Allen, and it ends up working that way. But it was closer than I was comfortable with after a 24-3 start, and this is what we've been saying about the Bucs forever, but they play no one down the stretch. They're not going to lose another game. Excuse me. Saints, Panthers, Jets, Panthers. They're going to go 14-3. And you look at the standings, and no one else can really do that. I mean, the Cardinals are the ones that need to win out to match them, and then the Packers. We'll get to them, but let's look at it for now. The Packers have Ravens should win, Browns, Vikings, Lions. That's definitely harder than Tampa's schedule. I mean, they could run. They're going to need to run it. We'll see what happens there. And then the Cardinals are the ones with the opportunity, but they play a tougher schedule too. They get the Rams tonight. We'll talk about that. At the Lions. Then the Colts, Cowboys, Seahawks. Those are all not easy games. So Tampa has an inside track, even though they're not in first right now. I just found it funny that the Bills lose to Belichick and then Brady. It's just hilarious. Like I said, Tampa secondary, not good. Richard Sherman in there. He's playing safety at times. I don't. They're desperate. The Josh Allen runs were a wrinkle that they weren't ready for and really opened things up down the field. And also, I can't lay all the blame on the secondary just because it's what I've been saying for a while. The offense kind of fell apart. It's hard to say why. Just run the football. Like, they abandoned the run a little bit. And we won't talk this much about every game because there were a lot of blowouts this week. But you go to the second half, and you're like, all right, there's a run, incomplete. Okay, ugly. Then you run with Ronald Jones. You get 9 yards. You pick it up with Ronald Jones. You give it to him again. You get 3 runs in a row. Autoplay. I didn't catch it that time. You hate to see it. And then you just pass 3 times, and you punt. And it's like, okay, just stick with the run, man. This is a field goal drive. They run, they pass, they run, they pass, they pass, they pass, they run, they pass. But then when it gets to this sequence, first down on the 14, you're in the red zone, run the ball. They pass, and settle for a field goal. It's like, okay, you're kind of forgetting what's good here. This one, 2 passes. Fournette only got 1 on first down, but you can run on 2nd and 9 and then pick up a 3rd and manageable. They just never seemed to do it. This is late. They're up 3. You can salt the game away. There's 5 minutes left. Run the ball. They pass on first. They pass on second. Fournette picks it up. They pass. And then they punt. It's like, okay, guys, I know you have Brady, but you're running at 5 yards a carry. You have this monster of a running back. The other defense has to be somewhat tired, and they don't stop the run at all. There was some puzzling game planning here. I don't know if they meant this. They wanted to throw. I don't understand what it was. The play calling was very weird. But Bucs win. We get there. Not to worry. So then, what was the next game I wanted to talk about? San Francisco, Cincinnati. Because I was big on Cincinnati in this one, but I didn't take them straight up. I resisted the urge because I was worried about Burrow's pinky a little bit. which didn't really prove to be the difference. I just thought the spread was a little wonky. And this game was weird. First of all, Deebo Samuel is unbelievable. When he was back, that was another reason. Him and Fred Warner both came back, so I didn't really want to take that. I only took the Bengals on the 10-point tees, and it ended up working out. But Deebo's ridiculous. I mean, 8 for 37 with a touchdown rushing doesn't even show what he's able to do. He's a load to try to deal with. And they could throw to him more. I mean, Kittle has been ridiculous lately. 13 for 151 and a touchdown, 15 targets. Ayuk has looked good. This team's rounding into form. If Jimmy Garoppolo can be good for them, that's key. And their secondary isn't very good either. But they, coming out of this game, I feel like there is definitely a world where they're better than the Bengals. I didn't really think that was the case before. I thought the Bengals were a better team. I still think they're very comparable, and I still don't understand why the spread was the way it was, but it ended up working out for them. And Cincinnati could have, again, like, Cincinnati's, I don't know, they're almost like the Vikings now, where it's like, yeah, they're super talented, and there's nothing really wrong with the team, but they're going to do stupid stuff and probably find a way to lose a game. And I never felt that way about them before, but I'm starting to feel that way now. But Deebo is must-watch TV. I have him on my fantasy team. I have for a couple of years. He's a keeper. He's one of the best talents. And when he's on the field, you have to be watching. I hope everyone realizes that. He's that good. Jamar Chase is weird, too. Like, he has 2 touchdowns in this one, but he has a long Chase touchdown called back. It was pretty unbelievable because it felt like last week all over again, where he tips the ball up and it's an interception. And this time it was a penalty, but he's wide open down the field, like, all the time. And stuff just goes wrong. He either screws it up or there's a penalty or something. Like, I don't know. He's been so good. Like, what are his numbers like? He has to have a lot of touchdowns. He has 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards on 60 receptions. And we still have games to go. And his numbers could be way better. So that's bizarre. Fred Warner got hurt. I don't know what his deal is. Let's look that up. I didn't get to follow up on that. You hope he's fine. He's doesn't say too much. Let's go to latest. Gets a scare. Kittle sore, but yeah. Nothing really on him, so I guess Fred Warner's okay. We'll see. Oh, on his ankle injury.
Where I think I just stepped on. I think it was Huff's foot or somebody's foot, and so my ankle just kind of rolled.
Turned an ankle.
A funny way, and just the initial feeling was like, whoa, like it was more like a scary thing type so deal.
Okay.
And then once I knew I was fine,
Yeah, you ever roll an ankle, you think you broke it every single time, so that makes sense. So Warner's okay. They're gonna be all right. Their schedule is interesting because they got the Falcons, Titans, Texans, Rams. They can win the next 3. For sure. The Titans are getting healthier, so that's going to be a hard game, actually. And that's a primetime game. Derrick Henry looks like he might be back for playoffs, but they might have A.J. Brown and Julio back for this one. So we'll see how that game goes. That'll be interesting. But they should beat the Falcons and the Texans, and they should get at least 9 wins. 9 and 8 get in? I don't know. Maybe. But they're looking good. There were a lot of field goals for the Bengals. There were a lot of misses in this one. They missed one. Gould missed a bad one. Kicking. Yeah, McPherson 3 for 4, Gould 2 for 3. The Bengals just settled for too many, though. I didn't really love that. You go to the play-by-play. Again, it's like they look good, and then 11-play drive. They're on the 19. They settle for a field goal. 12-play drive. They're on the 10. They settle for a field goal. 11-play drive. They're on the 28. They settle for a missed field goal. And you're just like, I don't know. They should be more efficient. Maybe they need a bigger red zone threat. I like CJ Uzoma, but maybe they need like a tight end red zone threat. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Also, they muffed 2 punts. The second one right before the half when they were going to get back in it. Right here. No, it's this one. Because they punt. And then they get the ball right back. Cincinnati, I mean, you're down 4. You're grinding back in. It was 10-3. Then you hit the field goal. You're getting back into it. You're like, all right, we survived the first muff punt. And then he does it again. I mean, that guy's job is gone. And then they score a touchdown quickly, and it's like, oh, man, what just happened? Now we're down 11 going into the half. I have plus 11.5. I'm sweating. But they just find a way to screw things up. Like I said, like I've been saying about the Vikings all year, you can have all the talent, but if you find a way to lose, that's just as bad as not having the talent in the first place. And yeah, they get a 15-yard taunting penalty after making a third down stop right after the muff punt. Right? So they would have had it incomplete on 3rd and 7, taunting on Von Bell, and then they get the touchdown to Kittle instead of a field goal. And it's like, come on, guys. It was a close game like I expected. The spread was still a little silly, which allowed for the easy tease, so we cash it. And momentum betrayed San Francisco towards the end. They had to claw to survive. And then they give up the field goal in overtime and come down and get the touchdown, so good for them. But weird game. Another one that the Bengals just give away. I felt like they could have beat the Chargers last week, or at least could have been closer. I felt like they could have won this one. But they find a way to lose, and San Francisco doesn't, and that's the difference. So good for them. We'll see what happens with them moving forward. Let's talk about Chicago, Green Bay. There's not that much to talk about in some of these games, like I said. But I will do my damnedest. This was the final game of the night, obviously. And I had swept everything to that point, obviously. We still have. You saw the broom. It's over there. And this felt like it should have been 60-14. But the ghost of Devin Hester did not want me to sweep the day. He wanted the chimney to be dirty. And I don't understand it. We need to sweep the chimney. So sorry, Devin. We're sweeping. But yeah, I mean, shout out to Jakeem Grant. Guy's fast. The guy is fast. Get some return touchdowns. They get a pick 6 against them. They get... It was punt return and kick return, right? Or one of them was really long. Whatever it was insane. A muffed catch. It was just... The Bears were just like doing really good and really bad things. There was no in between. And it was close. And then in the second half, Green Bay was like, yeah, but every time we touch the ball, we're going to score it. So there's nothing you can do about this. And they were right. Touchdown, field goal. They did punt once because Rodgers got sacked on first down. But then touchdown. Fields didn't look that good, but it's a good defense. And the Packers are just really good. I don't know what else to say about it. But I don't see this Packers team losing easily. Rodgers comes out of this saying his toe feels worse. I feel like he might be trolling. He never practices anymore because the toe is broken. I get that. You got to, just manage your pain tolerance, and he's Aaron Rodgers, so it doesn't matter. But every week it's like, yeah, this is pretty bad. It's getting worse. I'm going to need surgery after the season. Maybe I won't play. Who knows? I'm questionable. Oh, what's going to happen? And then he comes out, goes 29 for 37 for 341 and 4 touchdowns. You're like, doesn't look like there's much of a problem here, Aaron. So, I mean, I don't know. This team's really good and well-rounded. They have the better quarterback in most of these matchups. They got a couple tough games, but I think they win them all. They get the Ravens on the road, but the Ravens are banged up. They get the Browns. They should beat the Browns at home. They should beat the Vikings at home, although it's divisional night game. Who knows? And then they finish with the Lions. So they might only have 3 losses coming into the end. It's going to be a race at the top of the NFC, which we know, but let's talk about the Rodgers versus Brady MVP race, because we said it weeks ago that I'm taking Brady. I don't know why I typed Rodgers versus Brady, but, it's not as easy as it looks. So we go here, and I took Brady at plus 450. Now he's a favorite for the MVP. And the reason was that it's him and Rodgers. It's a 2-man race. I figured that Lamar would fall out. He has. Josh Allen I don't buy. Dak I don't buy. Both of them have struggled. And it's just these 2 guys, and they're not going to give it to Rodgers because of all the nonsense and the media stuff and the COVID thing, and I just don't see it happening. So I just wanted to take a quick glance because I think it's obviously going to be Brady. But I wonder whose numbers are really better. I didn't do this yet. I wanted to do it with you guys on the show. And let's look at Brady first, since he's the prohibitive favorite. 68.2% completion. 1% higher than Rodgers, okay? 41.34 yards. Ridiculous. Compared to 32.19. He did miss a game. So there's a game difference here. But still, it's a 900-yard difference. I don't think he was going to do that against the Chiefs. And then it's 36 touchdowns to 10 interceptions for Brady and 27 to 4 for Rodgers. The efficiency is better for Rodgers, sure. But Brady has the more gaudy numbers anyway. 7.9 yards per attempt for Rodgers. 7.5 for Brady. So some more check down stuff maybe. But QBR 67.6, QBR 65. Everything pretty much, aside from just the fewer interceptions, which we know Brady has a couple throws per game that don't look Aaron Rodgers level, or Tom Brady level, for that matter. Brady gets sacked a lot less, too. That's not really Rodgers' fault. In any case, even without the other stuff, I think Brady deserves the MVP. He is playing a little better, but in any given week, I think Rodgers has a higher ceiling, probably. So, even without the better weapons. But it doesn't matter. They're going to give it to Brady. Let's see. NBC Sports probably has the odds up. Stop it. I will not support you. Minus 170 for Brady, plus 550 for Rodgers, which is fun. And Kyler's plus 900. Mahomes 1,200. Herbert 1,500. That's not going to happen. But it is funny that their numbers are so pretty much similar, and it's just the narrative of like, yeah, Brady's going to get another one, and who knows how many more years he'll play. It'll probably be like 8. But I thought that was worth looking at the very least. What game was next? Baltimore-Cleveland. I mean, this was a heartbreaker for some people who took the spread. But, you know, I like money lines. And I avoid these low spreads because things get wonky, and they get wonky here again. Ravens were getting smacked before Lamar went out, okay? They improved with Huntley. Let's just say that. Lamar was 4 for 4, but they were getting destroyed. He had 17 yards. They probably would have improved with Lamar, too. I'm just saying it's something in them sparked. The Browns really took their foot off the pedal offensively. They tried really, really hard to blow it. They didn't do anything in the second half. And Case Keenum comes into the game. Baker takes a big hit, fine, but he's taken big hits all year long. They refuse to put him in. I've been saying that Keenum should have been starting all this time to get in a rhythm with the team to be ready. They stick with Baker. But then they pulled him for like a drive, maybe a drive and a half. Keenum doesn't even get to throw. They just turned it off and handed off a couple times. But after all this, now, and then they go, I thought they were definitely getting a look at him in a game that was probably under wraps because it was 24-6. And they just wanted to see what they have, give him some reps. Even that is insane because of all times, it's just hilarious in a divisional game that you need. Like, now? And Baker was actually playing okay at the time. And then Baker comes right back in. What the hell is going on? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, they get it. They get there. But their offense was uninspiring. Myles Garrett scored a touchdown by himself. I mean, let's look at that play. That play was unreal. He's a beast. I have him in my independent defensive players for fantasy. And boy, having the touchdown really helped. Yeah, him and Garrett and Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year is pretty interesting. Someone's got to have the touchdown. I mean, where are we at? For real? Did I screw up his name? Someone's got to have it. Oh, I'm on latest. Okay, that's why. Yeah. Is this the play? It is.
Oh, there's it. That's loose.
It starts too late. Don't like that video. They're all the same video because they're stealing it from CBS. But anyway, he comes off the edge. Someone really should have the whole play. Everyone has the same video. None of those ghetto recording your TV videos on Twitter, huh? Either way, he comes off the edge, he gets the sack, he gets the ball, and then he goes in himself. And you're like, oh my God. Strip sack, recovery, and touchdown on the same play. This guy is just, I mean, generational is just ridiculous to say. He wins games for them. He won this game for them. But Tyler Huntley, I didn't mean to close Twitter. Again, check out the Link podcast. The Beatles episode is great. Let's see this run. Someone's got to have it. He played really well. They looked better with him. Look at this run. Look at this. He's here. He jukes. He goes left. He jukes back right. He goes backwards. Jukes another guy. Oh, we're cutting to the middle. Okay, we're cutting left. We got him. We're going left again. Up. Oh, another juke. And then you slide and don't take a big hit. That was literally a Michael Vick level run. You don't see stuff like that. And you definitely don't see it from a backup quarterback that you don't really know. He gained like 15 yards or something on 2nd and 20. But that was unbelievable. But putting him in a play from behind must-throw situation isn't really good for them. So I wasn't that nervous. But he really played better than I expected. What are his final stats? 27 for 38? A touchdown? He ran it 6 times for 45 yards, which is really good. He looked good. He did look good. They might need to play him because it looks like an ankle injury for Lamar. It doesn't look that bad, but they might end up playing him this week to just be like, maybe we have something here and give Lamar time to rest. And then they get an onside kick. I mean, Mark Andrews makes a great play. Then they go for it because they always do. Harbaugh telling the haters to go F themselves. They go for it all the time. And they blow it for anyone who had -3. And then they get the onside kick. It works. There's a 3rd and 20 here somewhere late that the refs missed a hold on the Ravens. I wish I had video of it, but they just completely missed it. And they pick up 14 yards, and then the 4th and 6 doesn't happen anyway, so it was no big deal. The 4th down was a great play call. They blitz Huntley. He gets the ball out fast, to his credit, which he had to because he was going to get destroyed. But the whole team bought into the play. The secondary was ready. The corners were in press, and they make the tackle to win. It was a scary one, but the end result is right. Unless you had -3, then the end result feels a little bit wrong. But that's why we take the money line, and we smile. It was good. I don't know if Baltimore looked any different with Huntley than they usually do Lamar. They looked better. I don't know if that's Ewing theory or if it's just realizing you need to execute a little better or what, or if Lamar would have done the same exact thing, but it was definitely interesting. And by the way, when they go for 2 here, I found it interesting. The Harbaugh explanation was perfect, and I'll let him do it. This is it. I'll put on the audio.
Really not a non-decision. It's pretty much a standard.
So he's talking about whether to go for really 2 or not. And you always go for 2 early. And I'll let him explain why.
Not a non-decision. You do it at that point in time because you're going to have to win a 2-point conversion. So you understand if you get it or don't get it early where you're at going from there, how many possessions you're going to need and what you're going to have to do. If you wait till the last 2-point conversion and you don't get it, the game's over. You've lost. So you try it early. We're in a 7-point game. We know where we stand. We don't get it. We're in a 9-point game, and we know that we need 2 possessions.
He's right. It's a non-decision. If you're down 15 and you need a 2-point conversion either way, you always do the 2-point conversion earlier because if you get it, you're fine. You're down 7. If you don't get it, you have more possessions to figure it out. You're down 9, but you at least know where you stand. You know what you need to do. You know you need 2 more possessions. You might do an onside kick. You might do this. You might do that. If you kick the extra point and then you're down 8, you are banking on getting it on that last drive. And if you don't get the 2-point conversion, which we just laid out, if you don't get it and you go early, you're down 9, you have time. If you go late and don't get it, you just lose. You just flat out lose. Now, being down 9 isn't ideal, but in either scenario, the same risk is applied. You can either get the 2-point conversion or you can not get the 2-point conversion. But if you do it earlier and fail, you have time to figure it out. If you do it later and fail, you straight up lose the game, and I'd rather have time to figure it out. And everyone is doing this now, but I feel like some people haven't caught up yet, and my group chat has been arguing about it all day, and it's nonsensical. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But this game was wild. And I do feel for the people that had -3 because they should have cashed it. But that's why you take the money line. You give up a little bit of money. You give up a little bit of the odds. It's no big deal. We're all fine. We have to talk about a lot of these games are blowouts, honestly. A lot of them. I'll touch on them quickly. Raiders-Chiefs was just a rout from the get-go. The Raiders huddled on the Chiefs logo before the game, and then the Chiefs were like, no, we're just going to steamroll you. They ran all over them. Mahomes only had to throw it 24 times. It was deadly accurate. Their defense is gone. I've been fading the Raiders for a while. I was on the bandwagon early in the year, and then when the Ruggs thing happened, I jumped off. And sometimes they still find a way to be frisky. They're a weird team. But Josh Jacobs fumbled early. Chiefs returned it for a touchdown, and it was just off to the races from there. The running game looked really good. 4.4 yards per carry, but that's because everyone knew they were going to run it all throughout the second half, and they didn't have to do a lot. Their defense actually dominated this one. They recovered 1 million fumbles, right? 4. Vegas lost every one of their fumbles. So, I mean, this is just a crazy game that got away. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in fantasy, and it's annoying that he just can't get the workhorse role for the Chiefs, and it's sad as a fantasy owner. He gets the most carries, but Gore ends up getting 9 carries in crunch time and has a 51-yard run to save his day because he had 8 carries for 15 yards other than that. Again, Vegas was just keying in on the run. I get it. But Helaire played really well and it scored 2 tough ones in the red zone, but he got vultured multiple times. It's probably good for their offense to have the other weapons, but damn, as a fantasy owner, it's kind of annoying. Darrell Williams scores a touchdown, even though he only gets 2 carries and 3 catches. He ends up getting in the touchdown. Gore gets a touchdown. Mahomes had a short touchdown to Hardman, I think, or somebody. And it was Josh Gordon, actually, on like a 1-yard screen. You're like, come on. Helaire could have had 4 or 5 touchdowns in this one. But it's still good, though. And I was facing a Mahomes-Kelsey stack. So in a game where the Chiefs crush and Helaire ends up with the best of those 3, we definitely take that. And you got to be scared of the Chiefs. I mean, they're figuring it out. Again, they need a test. I mean, it's been 6 wins in a row, but it's the Giants, which they barely won. It's the Packers with love. It's the Raiders, who stink twice. The Broncos kept it close, kind of, and the Chiefs' offense didn't look good in this one. And then the Cowboys game was ugly, too. So this Chargers game on Thursday night is going to be insane. It probably decides the division because you have 9-4 Chiefs, 8-5 Chargers. But the Chargers beat them already. And if they beat them again, they are tied, but the Chargers have every tiebreaker. If the Chiefs win, it's probably a wrap. But let's look at the Chiefs' schedule after that. They get Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. Not exactly easy. The Chargers get Chiefs, Texans, Broncos, Raiders. They should get at least 2 wins out of this. And so it all comes down to this Thursday game on short rest in Los Angeles, which is basically a road game. The Chiefs will have more fans. I haven't looked at the spread, but I would imagine before we look it up, let's say, so this is in LA, but I don't give much stock to that. Chiefs are going to be favorites because where's the Chargers action coming from? But Herbert could sling it on them. And they could probably run it. And the Chiefs can run it, but they don't commit to that very often. I'm going to say Chiefs minus... It can't be that much, but it can't be 1. Because then everyone's going to hammer the Chiefs. It might need to be 3, but that feels like a lot. I'm going to say 2.5. 2.5. And it's 3. Up to 3.5 in some places, yeah. There's going to just be action on the Chiefs now. But, like, if this is Chiefs at home, it's definitely not 9. But, again, the Chargers don't get the respect at home, and they don't deserve it. So that's interesting. We'll talk about that on Thursday and then recap it on Friday, probably, unless the schedule changes. But, you know, stay tuned at MikeTheMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram for more. So that'll be a great game Thursday. We'll see how they match up. That'll be a good test for Herbert. And for the Chiefs, because they have to... Well, the problem is that Chargers defense isn't really good. Glennon actually had some success against them. And so I think the Chiefs could put up big points in that one. But I don't know. Road favorite. Not really road. I don't know. I'll probably end up on the Chiefs, to be honest. We'll see. Dallas, Washington. This is just ugly. I mean, Dak has not been good. Yeah, they win, right? They win. I took Washington because I thought the spread was a tiny bit too much. I thought it should have been 3. It was 4. But I didn't factor in that people call Heineke a Fitzpatrick disciple, like Fitz 2.0. And he does sling it, but that also comes with those random weeks where Fitz decides to throw 2 pick sixes and you just can't really win the game. So maybe we apply that rule to Heineke as well. I didn't take that in my picks or anything, but for pool purposes, I will have to think about it. It's hard to predict when that's going to happen, though. He looked very poor. They benched him for Kyle Allen at one point. And this was the worst he's looked. And Fitz had games like that, too, all the time. Sometimes he'd look like a god, and sometimes he'd throw 2 interceptions early, and you're like, oh, okay. A healthy Dallas defense is significantly scarier than a banged-up Dallas defense. I mean, we know that. But between Diggs and Micah Parsons and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, that's a lot of stuff. They can't really afford injuries because we saw what happened to their offense when they were banged up. They still are a little bit. And we saw what happened to their defense when they were banged up. And Tyron Smith left this game. I haven't seen any reports on him. I'm assuming he's all right. 2 ends in Tyron Smith? I think so. No, 1 end. Tyron Smith pending. MRI. We'll see. We should know soon. Scary. Very, very scary. They need him. But there was an insane Cam Sims touchdown in this game, by the way. And I'll get into a couple more details, but wow, this was a great play. And Diggs just daps him up like, yeah, you got me, bro. Look at this play. Look at this play. First of all, Heineke, look at him go. This is, by the way, this is after Heineke had already turned it over many times and was having a tough day. He spins out. He throws it how far? It's almost as good as the Herbert one, which we'll get to. He throws it
Pressure up.
legit 50 yards? More? 55? Oh, and he goes up, and Diggs has more picks than anyone this year. He's a great ball hawk. He's basically a receiver, played receiver at Alabama and then switched over. And Cam Sims comes down with it. Talk about high pointing a football. Look at this. Great replay. The Washington football team, good on their social media. Fox actually just has really good camera work. Except for that glove. Oh! Just snatches it from him. Awesome. Awesome. He's got to get more targets, man. He's just, he's Randy Mossing people out here. You just got mossed. That's crazy. That was a crazy play. McKissick was ruled out of this one, which I think hurt them quite a bit, especially playing from behind. It's also great because he had a horrifying concussion like not long ago. I wish the league would do this more, but it actually surprised me when he was ruled out because they never do this. Guys get up and they look drunk and they're stumbling around trying to find a wall that's not there to hang on to. And then a week later, they're like, strap it up, baby. Rub some dirt on it. Let's get in there. They hold him out, which is nice. I hope they do it more. It just surprised me. Dallas tried to blow it, though. First of all, they're throwing in a terrible spot late. I can't recall where it was. It might have been here. Yeah. Yep, this is it. They're up 7. They run it on first, 3 yards. They run it on second, 4 yards. It's 3rd and 3. Just turn around and give it to Zeke. They're running the clock. They would have almost got to the 2-point conversion. I mean, the 2-minute warning. And they throw it. Bad coaching strikes again. Mike McCarthy's terrible. Thanks, Mike. You're giving us a bad name. We're not all bad. And then Washington fumbles the game away anyway. It doesn't matter. But tough sack. Randy Gregory made a play. Again, Dallas being healthy is better. But I'm concerned about this team because I was kind of right. They would find a way to keep this one closer than it should have been. I acknowledge that Dak is good, which I didn't used to do. When he got drafted, I thought he was not accurate enough, and a lot of the same things I say about Josh Allen. But he has improved a lot. I've still never fully bought in because now and then I just see some puzzling throws and decisions like that pick 6 that he threw, where I always just think it could rear its ugly head in a big playoff game, and he's just looked poor for a while. And And Zeke is hurt. Pollard was out of this one. They get Corey Clement, who I actually like as a third running back, and he looked okay in this one. But Zeke can't. I mean, they need. Are they not healthy? Like Dak in the offseason was nursing a leg and a shoulder. A lot of stuff going on. I just wonder if he's wearing down as this long season goes on, because it's been rough. Let's look at his game log. 22 for 39 with 2 picks, 26 for 40 with an interception. Come on. Against Vegas in overtime, his stats were super inflated because they were getting smashed early. Kansas City didn't look particularly good. He had 2 interceptions in that game. It's been a month since he's looked good. It's been a month since Zeke has looked like he had any giddy up. His knee's not getting any better. He needs rest. Pollard's already out. They're 9-4. They win this important game against Washington. Can they just start resting people? Because, like, they might need it. They got this division locked up, right? They're 3 games ahead, and they just beat Washington. I don't know. I might sit some people down. Start resting, because if this is the team, if this is the way they're going to play going in with a bad coach, they're going to get smashed in the playoffs. So I don't know. I'm not really into that. We almost got the back door with Washington, though. The football team almost comes through. And, they're a football team. So then there's that. Chargers, this game was a rout. It looks a little closer than it should have. Glennon ends up getting some garbage touchdowns. I think he ran one in. Barkley looked pretty solid in this one. I thought he should have done more. He ended up with a touchdown, and he ended up with like almost 100 yards total. Glennon is just bad. You just fade Glennon always. Chargers also have the best jerseys in the game. I even saw an inverse of the royal blue jerseys that they wore yesterday with yellow trim on a fan yesterday, where it had bright yellow with a blue accent. Not bad. A little highlightery, but I like it. Chargers yellow jersey. Someone's got to have it. That's the one. He's cheesing. Mario Salazar. I like that jersey. It's not bad. This makes it look highlightery. But it looks a little more flat. Yeah, those. They're pretty nice. They're pretty nice. But the royal blue was really nice, too. I like those. You saw it if you watched the game yesterday. Otherwise, you can find it. Best jerseys in the game, for sure. Glennon got absolutely jacked up early in this. I thought we were going to see Jake Fromm. We didn't. And then the Herbert throw. I mean, no one has arm talent like this kid. Nobody. One of the best deep balls I've ever seen. If I just search Herbert, I know it will come up. Throw of the year. Look at this thing. Drops back. He's at the 33. Perfect motion. He's getting chased down. He has to get it away quickly.
Stops. Launches.
It went to the 3. 33 to the 50 is 17 yards, and then 47 more is 64 yards. Airtime. And hits him in stride. Rip it, young man. Laser beams from this dude. Whoop. Boom. Touchdown. Woo! One of the best deep throws not only of the season, but ever. I don't know how you top that. I used to say Russell Wilson was the best deep thrower of all time. He really is. I still stand by that. But man, Herbert's coming. He is coming. How does it get better than that? 60-something air yards? He has the most 55-plus air yards throws of anyone, including Mahomes, since Herbert came into the league last year. So if they can just figure out how to get a couple of those per game, you think of the Tyreek Hill factor for the Chiefs. You don't think of it as much with the Chargers, but they absolutely have it. And he's starting to get some time. Keenan Allen was out of this one, but you get the Guytons, you get the Parnums. You get these guys that are getting some time with their quarterback to figure it out. Josh Palmer looked pretty good in this one. He had some good blocks, too. Mike Williams, obviously, still good. Eckler is a monster. And you figure if they can have like 3 or 4, you still have Jared Cook instead of just Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They're frisky. They are good. I don't trust their defense, though. And I don't know what to think of their coach. Sometimes they're a little inconsistent. They don't do that enough. They need to let Herbert sling more, and they did in this one. So we'll see what happens with them. Again, Thursday night against the Chiefs. That's everything. But that throw was just unbelievable. It really was. Let's look at Detroit. Denver was a rout. We had Denver. There's not much to say about this. Denver started with 10 men on the field to honor Demaryius Thomas, let the play clock run out, and then Detroit declined the penalty, which was really cool. Sports rules sometimes. Also, you can do this since it's the Lions, and who cares because it's the Lions. But they kept scoring. They kept going and putting the ball on the 88 logo. It was just really nice that they get this dominant win. They run all over the Lions, which we knew they would. This combo is one of the best running back combos in the league, Gordon and Javonte. I wish Javonte would get the ball more, but Gordon continues just to look really good. And when they're slinging the ball, Teddy can do play action stuff and be efficient against the Lions anyway. And they have so many receivers that are really good. Like, there's nothing wrong with this team except for the quarterback. Who knows if they'll make the playoffs? Like, what's their schedule look like? They still have a couple tough ones, I think. Bengals, Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs. It's not looking great. But next year, if they just replace the quarterback and get someone, even if it's like Gardner Minshew or something, I think they could be really good next year. Or if they can get Rodgers. Or Russell Wilson. Or something. Or draft somebody. Like, I don't know. Get someone. Teddy's fine, but he's a stopgap. He's like a really good backup. But, yeah, not much to say about this game. Lions haven't gotten a red zone stop this season. I wrote that down. Heard that on the broadcast. That's a real stat from the Red Zone channel broadcast. You didn't stumble into one red zone stop. No ball bounced the right way or off someone's hands. Something. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm still buying Javonte Williams stock. Next year, he's going to be the running back I target. Lions also had a 16-yard drive, although I'm sure they had those. A 16-play drive and got 0 points. The Broncos did that last week against the Chiefs, so the cycle of suck on offense just continues to roll on. Atlanta, Carolina, I mean, I tried to tell you guys. I should have just hammered this one money line, but I didn't have the guts. I took him +3. But, I mean, what is anyone doing thinking Cam Newton should be a favorite in the NFL? He gets benched, then he comes back, and he gets benched again. Him getting benched actually made me more nervous for the Falcons, which was still safe. I just don't. The Panthers are really bad. They don't have McCaffrey. Like that line was so silly. I'll continue to fade them probably every week, I would imagine, unless the spreads are huge. They're at the Bills, so that's going to be a monster spread. I would imagine it's 11, 10, 10.5, 11. Yeah. There were a few third and very long conversions by Kyle Pitts, which really put this one away. It could have gone bad, but they figured it out. Also, Cam has lost 11 straight games as a Carolina Panther. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL when he's on the field. And then he'll run it and score a touchdown, celebrate like he's the MVP still. And you're like, okay, but 11 straight losses, bud. And you just lost to the Falcons. Cordell Patterson's awesome, by the way. And Russell Gage has been really good, too. I think he's good. And with Pitts, like, if they had Ridley, their offense is scary. They're still ultra flawed. But I like the Falcons as an underdog much more than as a favorite against a bad team. You know what I mean? They're like the best of the bad teams. And Carolina is like really one of the worst. Jacksonville, Tennessee. I'm going to open this up for one reason, because I just had one thing to say about this game, and it was... Ew. Let's close it. It's bad. Urban Meyer's got to go. He has to go. Seattle, Houston. I'm really not going back to that game. There's nothing to say about it. Seattle, Houston was a rout. We knew it would be. Seattle's much better than Houston. I mean, come on. What's going on? I think Houston plays Jacksonville next week. Let me look that up. That is the toilet bowl. Yeah. At Jacksonville. I mean, what's the spread? Pick 'em? What could it even be? Like, why are you even putting a spread on it? Jacksonville -3? No. I mean, you can't bet that game. But, like, that spread's wrong. Why is Jacksonville -3 to anybody? That doesn't make any sense. Their defense is better, but, like, stop it. Nobody let me bet that game, please. Nobody. Don't let me put it on my picks. Don't let me do it. I'm all frazzled now. That's terrifying. But yeah, Russell Wilson looked good in this one. He had a vintage deep strike before halftime to lock it. He looks back. His numbers weren't crazy great, but they were good enough. I got a Russell Wilson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Myles Garrett touchdown in fantasy all in 1 minute of real time. I hate on the NFL a lot. I really do. And they deserve it, rightfully so. But that feeling is why the NFL dominates other sports. It's really unique, where you can have these crazy lightning strikes, insane stuff happening, all in one quick moment because all these games are going on at the same time. You don't really get that as much in other sports. So just by default, they have that. There was an unnecessary roughness on Seattle during a Houston field goal. Seattle holds anyway. Their defense is looking bend but don't breaky lately. Achy, breaky, bendy defense. But Davis Mills did start like 8 for 8 and ended up 33 for 49. So, I don't know. They were up a lot, so he's just like underneath routes and completing passes. And Brandon Cooks is pretty good. And Nico Collins gets 10 targets. I mean, I don't know. Rex Burkhead got hurt. They only had Royce Freeman was their only running back available, even though they had like 4 running backs to start the season. Russ had a really long touchdown called back on a hold, too. His numbers could have been even better. Especially, I mean, long touchdowns getting called back for holds are really frustrating, especially unnecessary holds, which didn't need to happen. It's just a buzzkill. It's a bigger buzzkill than Buzz Killington, you know? Yeah, the bomb to DK got taken away. Brutal. Another reason Russ looked good, though. There were some odd things that made his efficiency look worse than it really was. But he was still fine. And he's still Russell Wilson. He had the game with Lockett. Do they have a chance to get above 500? They still play the Rams and the Cardinals. They'll beat the Bears and the Lions, so they're going to get at least 7. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, but because they probably lose to the Rams and the Cardinals. But if the Rams lose to the Cardinals this week and then the Seattle comes in and beats the Rams, you're like, oh my God. I could see that narrative playing out where Seattle starts to be like, hey, we could win out. And this Cardinals game becomes huge and the Rams are in a tailspin. You're like, oh my God, what's happening in the West? I don't know if that'll happen. But this Rams game is interesting. I assume there's not really a spread on it because the Rams haven't played yet, but I would imagine Seattle at the Rams is like a 6, maybe 7. 7. But we'll see what happens in that game tonight. I kind of like Seattle in that game, honestly. I don't think Seattle's been as bad as people think they are. And then the last one, the only one we didn't talk about, I just try to not spend too much time on this, but it's Jets football, and I like the Jets, so. They lose 30-9 to the Saints. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I almost picked the Jets in this one, and then I can't remember if on stream I said the Jets are the pick because I did feel like Taysom Hill shouldn't be a touchdown favorite to anyone on the road, but then the injury report was just horrible for the Jets. I think 64% of their starters from week 1 didn't play in this one. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Taysom Hill looked horrible. His numbers just looked better because he had some meaningless long rushes. He had like a 50-yard touchdown late. Kamara just killed them the whole game. I mean, the Jets can't compete with anybody. They're really bad. They're playing for draft picks at this point. Quincy Williams is a really good linebacker for the Jets, though. He's really good. He covered Kamara at times and looked solid. I mean, Kamara still had a big game, but the fact that he's even asked to do that right now is wild for a young kid. Him and Mosley are so fast to the ball together, CJ Mosley, that it makes their defense look almost intriguing at times, and then you realize they give up like 40 and 50 most weeks, even 30 at home to the Saints with Taysom Hill as a quarterback who's not a quarterback. So I know no one cares about Jets depth players, but I took note of it at least. I got to take what I can get from this team because Zach Wilson makes me less excited every week. It's really bad. 19 for 42. He didn't score. There really aren't even that many flashes of the arm talent. I mean, it's a decimated team. He has absolutely nothing to work with. I'm not all the way out on him. He actually didn't turn the ball over this week. Still only ended up with 9. I mean, busy punting, right? But 6 punts. I mean, come on, guys. They made field goals. They hadn't been doing that. Eddie Pinheiro, thank you very much for showing up. You're the kicker next year, I guess. I don't know. And the Jets, Wilson tries to run it for a touchdown, meaningless touchdown as time expires, and he gets crushed at the 1. And the game just ends. And that was right after giving up a meaningless 50-yard touchdown to a non-quarterback in Taysom Hill. So that, who do the Saints play next? I'm back to fading them next week, which is ultra easy. Although Kamara is crazy. You forget that he's like so unbelievable. They could turn this thing around quick if they get a quarterback. All you need for them is get Russell Wilson in there. He says he wants to play there. I know I keep saying, like, all these teams just go get Russ or Rodgers or whatever. But you can get there's quarterbacks available. If you can get him in the door and you have Kamara, maybe you can sign one receiver and draft another one. and then all these guys look a little better because they move down the depth chart. You still keep Taysom Hill as a Swiss Army knife kind of guy. That would look good. This team would be better, and their defense is fine. And they still have a good coach. I don't think they're like Pittsburgh, too, and Denver. All three of those teams are where quarterbacks are going to go because they're very close to turning the thing around. They just don't have the person under center. Or no one plays under center anymore, but under shotgun. Let's talk about Monday night quick before we wrap. And then I got picks for you, like we do every day. We talked about this some on Friday, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. And who would do that? And why do we need to talk about horses dying? I don't want to beat any animals. Live, dead, horse, pig, chicken. But I like the Cardinals in this game. I just feel like momentum is on their side. The Rams have looked squeamish lately. That's not the right word, but maybe they don't like blood. Stafford has turned the ball over a bunch. They don't look healthy. I don't think they run the ball at all. Some people think Arizona's run defense can be beaten, but I don't think the Rams will commit to a run. Darrell Henderson's not playing in this one as far as I know, so you get Sony Michel, who I think is just as good as Darrell Henderson, but doesn't have as much explosiveness. So he's not going to play. This should be a close game, but the Cardinals beat them in LA. The Cardinals have gotten healthier and better since then. The Rams have gotten more injured and worse since then. On the road, I've been to games in Arizona. That crowd does get very loud in the Dome. It's loud in there. It's a fun environment. Great stadium to go to if you ever get a chance. I'm a real big fan. I love the Cardinals. My parents are from Arizona. They're not from Arizona, but they live there. And so I'm like a faux Cardinals fan. And I have, like everyone else, I have been shoving them off to the side. Like, yeah, but I got to make sure Kyler and Hopkins are healthy. And who knows? And I don't know what to do with this team. And I don't know, but they dominate everybody. They've won every road game, I think, by like double digits. They just don't really lose. They lost to the Packers, but like big deal. And that was a last-minute play where A.J. Green drops the game-winning touchdown, okay? So that could have been a win. And they lose to the Panthers when they had absolutely nobody. Nobody in this game. So you throw that out the window. And then you look past it. Their schedule's a little tough, but you get this win and you start to feel better because then you get the Lions next week. You can beat the Colts. That's going to be a great game. At the Cowboys is tough, and versus the Seahawks we talked about before. So this game's important. You can't just throw it off and be like, well, we'll win the next four. I mean, no, they need to show up here. And I would imagine Kyler and Hopkins are more healthy than they have been the whole season. And you still have Ramsey on Hopkins. That's great, but there's so much depth on the Cardinals roster offensively. Is Chase Edmonds coming back for this one? Could be. Game time decision. That would be another weapon. They just have way more weapons than the Rams. Way more. And their defense has been just as good as the Rams. Maybe it's not the superstar talent level, but look, the Rams are due for like a breakout a little bit, but I don't think them crushing the Jaguars means all that much. And I don't really understand why the spread is the way it is. 2.5? This seems like disrespect for the Cardinals. It seems like the Rams are just the narrative team, like the Lakers in the NBA. And then you watch them play, and they lose on the road to the Thunder every now and then, and you're like, what? I'm not saying the Rams aren't good and can't win the game. I mean, of course they can. But when you're missing Woods, and you're missing Darrell Henderson, and you have a lineman out, you have a corner out, you have a couple linemen banged up, I just think the Cardinals are healthier, and even at full strength, they might be better. And I think you're getting a pretty good price here for a team that performs pretty well at home. Their quarterback's hard to stop. Even if you have a good defense, it's hard. Like, Donald gets neutralized a little bit by Kyler because he really can run and escape from him. Maybe Donald just has an all-world game. I mean, it's possible. And maybe Ramsey shuts down Hopkins, but they don't have to throw to Hopkins. This isn't the Texans with Deshaun Watson. They have a million weapons. And, so you can't hide Ramsey anywhere, and you can't just use him to shut down the whole offense. So I just like this game for Arizona. I could see them winning this game, and then everyone gets on the bandwagon, and then they lose to the Colts or something, and you're like, oh, are we back off now? And you still don't know going into the playoffs. But I think this one goes their way. I think they have their number. I think Kingsbury knows how to play McVay. I'm comfortable taking the Cardinals at home, more comfortable than taking the Rams, just because I've seen them throw 2 picks early in the game, go behind, and then not really know what to do. I also see them not run the ball very well. So let's get to the picks for the day. I don't think I disguised it very well, but Monday Night Football, I'm going to take the Cardinals. We're going to go with the money line again. Same thing we did with the Browns, because you don't want to give 2.5 and then you win by 2 because of a 2-point conversion late. Something really silly. And the money line isn't bad. Minus 135 as of right now. Who knows how that'll go? Maybe you wait longer and Rams action comes in. I don't know. You'll have to check that out before kickoff. But I like the Cardinals to win straight up by themselves. And then I also took an NBA round robin for funsies because we've been hot there too. It's Cavs money line home against the Heat. Heat don't have Bam or Jimmy Butler. I'll fade them like that all day. Warriors money line at the Pacers. I like to ride with the Warriors, and I think the Pacers are a little... They're not overrated because they're not very good, but they are exactly what they are. And then the 76ers money line at the Grizzlies. This one scares me a little, but I think the Grizzlies have been overperforming since Ja went out, and they're due for some regression. So Cavs, Warriors, Sixers, round robin, and Cardinals straight up. Those are the Monday picks. That is a wrap for today's show. We will be back tomorrow. Not sure what time, but check it out on at MikeTheMush Sports, and I'll probably let you know there when we're going live, and also set the notification bell on Twitch and on YouTube so you know when I'm in. You can come join. You can get in the chat. We can talk takes. We can talk football. We'll talk Monday Night Football. Maybe we'll do some basketball stuff. Not sure what we have on the agenda tomorrow, but there's always more. There's always stories, and there's always stuff to chat about. Like I said, some Beatles stuff. The Get Back documentary was awesome on Disney+, and if you want to hear a review of it with me and my dad, and we mentioned this show, he plugged it, not even me. Unbelievable. My audio-only podcast, The Link Podcast, at The Link_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can find The Link Podcast on Apple, Spotify, everything. Subscribe on YouTube. That would be helpful if you can't catch the live version of this show. I always post it right to YouTube so you can get it there. Subscribes and likes are helpful. Share it. Tell everybody. We're having fun with it. Schedule might change coming up, but I will keep you posted on all of that, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace out.